Hey everybody, this is Sheets, and I'm going to be previewing the showdown slate for this evening, that being Seattle versus Washington. I'm going to be doing it solo because Bobby's celebrating his birthday today, I believe. And again, I'm going to be basing this somewhat on my projections, which are available for premium members on ShowDFS.com, with the incredible disclaimer that, although projections are somewhat useful in NFL, projections for showdown slates are just, let's just put it this way. You're much better off being an intelligent randomizer. That's the best I can describe it, than being someone who just gets that median projection down to the next, 16th of a point with showdown slates, just because there's just not that many people to choose from, the way results distribute. I'll have to pause this for just a moment. One of the vagaries of doing this by myself, sometimes the phone rings. Forgot where I was at, but let's go ahead and review this. So again, you just need a good smart randomizer to make this work. And I know what I was gonna say. So remember the fundamentals of playing showdown slates, right? You want to get that mixture of lineups that are not going to be duped with lineups that actually have a chance to win. So what can you do to make your lineups less duplicated? Number one is you could intentionally set your lineups to be, under a certain salary cap. And you could do that either with our optimizer, with SaberSim or RotoGrinders or whatever. That's something that you could do. And I think a lot of people do. And that is definitely important. Another thing you could do is, really be a stickler for game script. In other words, don't play a defense unless you're playing the running back, or don't play, a defense if you're playing the other quarterback and wide receiver, and really just try to, as they say, tell a story, with your lineups. I'm going to go on record. I mean, I've said this all year, and I think the results have proven out that whole way of playing showdown slates just leaves a lot of good, unique, winnable lineups on the table. People that'll say, well, I don't want to play these two together. I think that the results are so random in a showdown slate that you don't want to do that. I mean, I think that people that play that way just run more of a risk of getting duplicated without really increasing their overall fantasy point scores that much. So I would honestly, if anything, try to avoid the logical type things like, if I'm going to play Heineke, I want to make sure to get two wide receivers. And if I want to play Heineke, I don't want to play two running backs from Washington, because that doesn't usually happen. But again, usually is not what we're trying to do with showdown slates. We're just trying to find that 1/10 of 1% of the time it does happen, that no one else will have those lineups. And I use those terms, loosely. I don't mean no one, I don't mean never, but hope you see my point. So the other thing about today's slate, or one thing about today's slate, is it's not really a lot of fun. In other words, I usually like to find these kind of, really, really cheapo plays that no one's going to play, that I don't even mind getting a zero from time to time with. Actually, that's not true. I do have a couple for you. But let me just, again, first, just go over, probably the most logical plays. And the three guys that rate the highest for me are the two quarterbacks, Heineke and Wilson, big surprise. And the next guy that rates the highest is probably the best receiver on the best quarterback. That would be DJ Metcalf. So if you wanted a core per se, you play both quarterbacks, Wilson, you play Heineke, you play Metcalf, and that gets you in the right direction. Then the next group, or the next three skill position guys, that would be Lockett, McLaurin, and Gibson. Those three guys all certainly make a lot of sense. And, from building a lineup, let's say that I had one guy from Seattle, maybe pick one of the Washington guys. So let's play either McLaurin, and you see you only have 2,700 left after you do that. But I got plans for that. Or you can just play Gibson, for example. And again, I put Metcalf in the captain. You don't have to do that. You can put the quarterbacks in the captain, but that's certainly the logical way to play. You play both quarterbacks. You play, Metcalf. You play either Lockett or McLaurin or Gibson, and then you've got the best plays, right? You have the top projected fantasy points, and you could probably get those guys in. The next group I have, kind of three guys together, would be, well, one would be Alex Collins, who the running back from Seattle. I have him tied with Logan Thomas, tight end from Washington, with actually the Seattle kicker. I don't even have right now, for some reason, the Washington kicker even projected. So I got to update that. So I presume, is going to be in just the same play as as Myers would be. I don't know why I don't have him in. That's weird. Anyway, he's going to be probably an equal type play. Again, look for updated projections a little bit later. That we'll have both kickers in, I presume. I don't like either of the defenses particularly this week, and that could be a way people go because they see these two teams and they don't, particularly have their socks blown off by these offenses. So they might go for these defenses. Seattle still has that impression of being the Legion of Boom, even though they haven't been that way in a long time. And Washington still have that impression of being a good defense, I guess, from last season, but they really haven't done much this year either. So I would really, I would probably avoid the defenses. So for me, again, top skill positions would be Heineke and Wilson and Metcalf, like I said. Second group would be Lockett, McLaurin, Gibson. And then you have Collins and Myers, and Logan Thomas would be next. Then you get into kind of like the hoodoos, right? And I have all these guys ranked somewhat similarly. So what you probably want to do is take the lowest owned. So I'm just going to list them all to you, and then we'll get back to them. So my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I have 8 kind of tertiary guys here. And you'll see one of them is going to be really cheap. So you have DJ Dallas for Seattle. You have McKissick for Washington. He's the secondary. Well, he's the pass catching running back. You have Gerald Everett for Seattle. You have Freddie Swain from Seattle. He's 2K. You have DeAndre Carter, wide receiver for Washington. And then you have Curtis Samuel. Got to see if he's playing or not even. But then you have one guy. I guess this is going to be the ultra hoodoo. At 1K, you have. I got to look at this a little more. You have Jared Patterson. And boy, look at this. This isn't bad. So he is the third running back behind Gibson and McKissick. But I mean, look, he had 7 attempts last game, 4 attempts the game before that. I don't know. Maybe that's terrible. Let me just take a look. Let me see if both these guys are really healthy. McKissick, yeah, he's playing. Ooh, so what was Thomas? Yeah, Thomas was coming off injured reserve. That's what he's showing. And then the other running back was going to be Gibson. I presume he's playing. Yeah, so maybe Patterson just really is just an ultra reach. So I guess the guy that of all the guys I mentioned, the cheap one would be Swain, right? So you play Swain at 2,200. Then he can make these other lineups work. And of all the guys I mentioned, he's really the only cheap guy. Everybody else is like 4,500 or above. So I'd like to believe that actually Swain's going to be somewhat popular because of that, but maybe not. I don't have him that highly owned, at least the first look. So that would be the way I would go on this slate. Really is probably take a shot with Swain if you want. That's probably what I would do. Take a shot with Swain, play the rest of the skill position guys, shuffle them around a little bit. And even that's not going to be enough probably to differentiate you that much. Maybe you'll have to play 2 of those tertiary guys I mentioned, whether it be DeAndre Carter, Gerald Everett, J.D. McKissick, DJ Dallas, Logan Thomas. Maybe you have to play 2 of those guys in your lineup to make it work. And, you're going to give up some projection equity there, but projection, who cares? It's all you need to get is that 1 touchdown. And if you're 1/20th the ownership of the other guy, that's all you need, really. So that's what I would do with this showdown slate, at least on DraftKings. Let me look real quick without even pulling up the interface where I would go on FanDuel. I mean, both quarterbacks, same thing. Metcalf, Gibson, Lockett, McLaurin, Collins. Nothing really. It's the same. It really is the same. Like those tertiary guys like Collins, McKissick, Everett, Dallas, Thomas, Carter, Samuel, Patterson. They're all speculative. So hope you know what you do. You take all those guys, whichever one's going to be the lowest owned, you play that, and we'll get hopefully some more decent ownership projections as we get closer to the game. But maybe that's what you're supposed to do. It's going to be a difficult slate to get particularly different on, but that's what I like today. Good luck, and we'll be going live at 6 with NBA stuff, so we'll definitely make some time to answer some NFL questions as well. And who knows, maybe some injury news comes off that makes things even more interesting. All right, that will do it. Good luck, everybody.